Very nice. You been
What's
working
new?
with your aunt about the auditing?
Yeah, I've been working with her. Well, actually, the last week we had a course. The course was the last Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
Started at 9 and finished at 2:15. And yeah, it was focused on CityPath and OEA. And yeah, it is so interesting, to be honest. I like all the stuff. Um, I don't know. I've been thinking about it the last week. I don't know how it's gonna be the city path, for example. The city path is with the government of the United States, and now with elections, I think that it's gonna be different if it's, for example, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. I think that we need to do some adjustments at the end, and yeah, well, depends too of the, how can I say, like the reform that is gonna decide today or tomorrow. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I
really?
think
How do you
everything.
think it's gonna depend on what variations it's gonna take depending on the politics? I don't know. I don't want to say the word unfortunate, but it's obviously impactful. It's going to have an impact if there is one candidate or the other who prevails. Well, how do you think it's going to variate? How's the variation going to be, Mickey?
Well, probably I think that with Kamala Harris, um, I will think that it's gonna be like the same. I don't think that there's gonna be so many judgments. But for example, if Trump wins, sorry, yeah, I think that probably Trump's gonna impose more rules, more criteria to follow. So for the enterprises here in Mexico, it's gonna be a little bit probably not difficult, but they need to do more work than the work that they are already doing.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, well, depends too of the session of today here in Mexico too. So yeah, there are different things to analyze.
Okay. Yeah, they have a very different style, don't you think? I'm not an expert in politics, but I know I've heard, I've seen a few news, so I think their style is totally different.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, to be honest, I don't like to see news to be so many times because I consider that, for example, if you see news on TV, uh, imagine that in total are 10 news. One or two of them probably are like interesting, and the rest of them are just trash. That homicide in one city, that robs. So I prefer to don't watch news on TV. If I want to search about something, I see in an internet and I go directly. If it's better, if it's an article, I prefer to see articles than news.
Yeah, same here, same here. I think sometimes the news are just, well, they have an intention. They are intended to drag people towards a certain current of thought, and convince them. So I don't think there are news which are unbiased. Most of them are usually biased. But well, let's go into the
Mhm.
topic, if you wish, of the topic of audits, which is truly interesting. The other day you were talking a little bit about how you guys prepare for those audits, and I was thinking, uh, how important is it to understand the client, Mickey? Do you guys tend to check on the client profile is, what they normally do? Um, how is the process? That is pretty interesting, I believe. Understanding the client.
Yeah, I read this.
Yes, if you can you please?
Auditors begin by understanding the organization's business, its industry, and the environment in which it operates. This includes reviewing previous audit reports, understanding internal controls, and identifying key risks.
Yeah. What do you think of this, Mickey?
Yeah, well, the purpose of audits is to understand in which part the company is like standing for, to understand their strengths, their weaknesses, and then with that analysis, recommend what they can improve. But yeah, it is those external audits are important because in occasions, I think that when someone is working in the company, probably they have like mm, this lack of view because they are so so get used to see those well those activities or uh, those problems, and probably they see like normal. So in occasions it's good to have like external audits, someone that don't knows nothing about the company, that don't have like friends in the company too, and see what are um, yeah the possible um, zones of improvement could be.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then when you define the scope and objectives of the audit, uh, I suppose that you guys determine how long it is going to be, what you will be auditing, what you will not, what is of interest of the client. Probably they tell you, probably they don't. They tell you, well, we're having problems with the quality of the products, or we're having problems with the morale of the workers, or maybe we're having problems with the dispatch, they are taking too long, or the quotations of the of logistics are too high, etc. How do you define and determine the scope, Mickey?
Mm, well, normally when we go to audit any enterprise, we just chat with the director. And on occasions, they don't know that we're gonna visit the company. The purpose of that is that they don't plan something before, because obviously if they know that probably they will have some audits, they could change something, they could clean their zone, their offices. So it's like in a way like we want to do it like in a surprise way, that they don't know what's gonna happen. And and yeah, well, we do the audits, but focused on the criteria of CityPath and OEA. So, for example, we don't really get involved in the quality of the product because that is not something that uh, is in our charge, in few words. But for example, what we check is that the security in general, the physical security, the documents, that everything is must be in rule, human resources. We analyze human resources, cybersecurity. What else? Um, for example, if it's a how is it is highway highway truck, and like when it's like a transport line, uh,
Okay, yeah, afraid.
yeah, we need to check that the clean of the how can I say um, like the cabin of the truck, teacher. I forgot the word.
The cabin of the truck.
Yeah, we need to check the cabin. If they do like fumigations, we need to check the facilities of the enterprise that they have. For example, in a specific zone where they check the 18 points of security in the trucks. They must have like a kit, a toolkit. And with this kit, they check that, for example, what's it? The sales, the sales that they put on the cabin of the truck, sellos,
Seals,
seals.
seals,
Yeah, sorry.
the seals.
Mm-hmm. Seals. Yeah, there are so many things to check when we're doing those audits.
That looks very, very interesting. And obviously, I imagine one of the things that you guys want to do is to reduce the risks, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
What have you found as risky, without saying the names of companies, maybe to protect their confidentiality or their privacy? What have you found as risky operations or situations in some of these facilities, Mickey?
Hmm. Well, in the last 2 months, I have seen uh, like 6 or 7 different companies, and I have noticed uh, some aspects in ones in others others aspects. Uh, for example, the cleanness. There, it's supposed that in there must like establish a zone where they need to check the 18 points of security in the truck. And I have seen places where they have like car crashes. They have their zone full of trash. That could be one. For example, it's supposed that the walls must have like the security. Uh, they must have uh, like how to say this? It has a name. CCTV is the type of camera.
CCTV, yes.
They must have those cameras in strategic points, and I have seen companies that probably just have one or two, and they at least they must have like 8 or 10 cameras, with the purpose that with those cameras they can see all the 18 checkpoint of the security on of the trucks. So yeah, I have seen different things.
Okay. And when you make an observation or a
Mhm.
suggestion, even a hint that there is a risky point, how do you communicate that to the client? How do you actually determine that that point does not check with the idea of security? How do you communicate that to the client, Mickey?
Yeah. Um, well, normally when we start an audit, we have like a first meeting, and in that first meeting, there must be present the people of the different departments, the departments that are involved in a way with the city path or with OEA. We present ourselves. My name is Miguel, and then they present themselves too, and well, the purpose that why we want to that the people present with us is because we know who is in charge of the different departments. So when we go to that department, we talk with them. We see their procedures, if they have procedures, because in the cases they don't have, and well, we have like our checklist, and we see if it has or not. And then at the end of the audit, we have the final meeting. In that final meeting, we present the results that, for example, well, in cybersecurity, you have this, but you have pending this. And according to the city path, you require to have this. So at the end of 100%, you have 75%. And then at the end, we obviously, the people of the different departments are present in the final meeting. And well, we at the end, after the final meeting, we send like the reports with the observations, the must, the shoulds, and yeah, what they can improve.
So you guys actually divide or distinguish the must, which is a mandatory request, and the
Yeah,
should, which is advisory, right?
yeah, exactly.
How do you divide those? How do you decide if one belongs to the must list and the other one belongs to the should list?
Well, it is not something that, in this case, Gasback, that is the name of the company, decide. It's according to the CityPath profile. In the CityPath profile, it established, okay, in the cybersecurity department, they must have, for example, one of them is the door. When it's all the site, all the information, it must be uh, with in a specific place and lock with key or with fingerprint. For example, it is a must. They cannot have, for example, just the door open and everybody could go into the site. No, they must have like the protection. And well, that is established by the city path, and we have the checklist of the city path or OEA depending, and yeah, according to that we put like should or must.
Ah, I see, I see. Did you say that OEA is the Organization of Estados Americanos is involved in it? Did you say that?
Not exactly. Now I understand with the course more about it. Yeah, OEA is known too. as operador económico autorizado. That is the
Oh,
same.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't know that at that moment.
Okay, I'm sorry, I get confused too. So,
Yeah,
operador what?
económico autorizado.
Okay, very good. All right, that's totally different. Very
Yeah,
well, Mickey.
it's
And then you guys develop an audit plan. Uh, how do you guys how does the boss or the people prepare the audit plan?
mm, well, we have the plan of the audit. Well, we have the audit plan uh, since the past. We know the different departments that we need to visit. Obviously, we establish the date with the director, and normally the director says to the rest of the departments 1 day or 2 days before the date. That with the purpose that I mentioned, that they don't change something, that they don't create procedures. That really
Right.
what the director wants to see is really see what are like the strengths and weaknesses that they have. So yeah, we establish the date, and yeah, we develop the audit. Normally, we start with physical security. So we go to the Department of Security, we go to the facilities, we take pictures of everything, because at the end in the report we send like pictures of the weaknesses that that they probably could have. For example, I remember one company in Silao that the first camera, uh, it wasn't working, and it's the camera that it's that it's in the principal door, like in the
Okay, the
principal
main door.
entrance. So
Right.
obviously that could be so dangerous. And well, dangerous, for example, if the CBP is the government of the United States that is in charge to see that the company it's according to the CityPath um, procedures. If they go to see the company and they see those, they can suspend the program, or they can um, pause the program depending of the weaknesses that they detect.
Okay. This is not related directly with the contents of this questionnaire, but this city path um is you mentioned that is a guideline established by the U.S. government, right?
Yeah. Is
And
CityPath like just the letters C T? Uh,
city, okay,
uh-huh.
city path like
Uh-huh.
that,
City without the H.
path, city path
Yeah.
like that. Ah, okay, city path. Interesting. And obviously, they have the expertise in managing and evaluating companies, auditing companies. Uh, why them? I mean, it's a legitimate and valid company. Obviously, it's a plan they have very organized, very orderly. Are there
Mhm.
others? Is there one from Jamaica, from China, from Russia, from
Mhm.
why them? It's just a general question.
Yeah. Uh, well, first of all, I think that it's important to understand like the origins of CityPath. CityPath was created after the 9/11. So CityPath is focused for the companies here in Mexico that's gonna export, or that it's like, for example, a highline truck, a transport line that cross the border of the United States. That's why it's CityPath. And for example, normally so many companies, for example, Continental here in Puerto Interior, Taller Poli, there are so many companies that requires that certification to have like access or benefits in the border. One of the benefits is that, for example, they have like a fast line in the border in the United States, so they don't do um, all the like evaluation at when you go enter to the to the border. They have some benefits, and yeah, for example, so many companies now wants that the transport lines are certified in CityPath, because it's supposed that when they are certified, they have like more security in their transport lines, and they avoid the problems in general.
I see. Okay, well, it's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, do companies at times, and this is a requisite, or is it mandatory, or is it voluntary? You can take it if you want.
Everybody's voluntary, but for
Okay.
example, so many transport lines wants to be certified because their clients, for example, it's supposed that one transport line is client of Continental. Continental requires that the transport line that is transporting their pieces that they want that the company is certified in CityPath. So in a way, so many transport lines are doing it because their clients are demanding that.
Wow, it's incredibly interesting. Okay, thanks. And then apparently there is another section which is called internal control evaluation, in which you check the internal controls. Uh, which are the controls that you normally check the most, that you consider that are the most important ones to review or to assess, make an assessment if they are in order? Which are they, Mickey?
Mm, well, uh, in total, there are 11 criteria that the companies must complete. If I put like in a in a hierarchy way, probably could be uh, well, it's not called human resources, but it involves everything about human resources. And in that criteria, establish the different procedures that they have to select people to, uh, well, select in occasions, yeah, fire people. Uh, there are there are different procedures that the human resources department does. What else? Cybersecurity. Why cybersecurity? Because now with technology, so many companies uh, have all their information in sites or in the cloud. So they must have so many procedures. Two other procedure that cybersecurity must have is like uh, how can I say, antiviruses. That, for example, if someone wants to attack the info or acquire information of the company, that they have all the procedures to avoid that. For example, something that I have noticed in probably the 80% of the companies that we have visited. Do you remember when Windows system falls like 2 months ago? That in the
No,
air.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. No.
Well, obviously Windows don't say like the the real explication, but it's supposed that someone attack Windows and all the people who have their files, who have their operate system with Windows, hospitals, airports. Well, they couldn't, they cannot do that, nothing with that because the operate system was not working. So so many companies must have like the alternatives to avoid that. And for example, if your operating system is not working, okay, I have this backup and I have this and I have this. So that's why it is important, uh, cybersecurity too, and physical security in general.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah, it's a prevention plan or
Mhm.
contingency plan.
Yeah, contingency plan.
Excellent. That's very, very well devised and designed. Okay, Mickey. When you make the assessment, sometimes you need to determine if that is sound or is not or is unsound, safe or not very safe. You can say, well, like the camera, it's a very good idea that the camera is established, is inserted or is put placed in the entrance of the company, right? But it's a better idea that the camera works, right? Okay, so how is the assessment of the controls? The camera is a control, I guess, but then you evaluate if that control is actually working or not, like with the camera that you just mentioned, which is a great example. How do you guys do that? What have you found? um, what is normal to see and what is out of ordinary, that you say this is extraordinary because it's really good, or maybe it doesn't work too well. What have you found there, Mickey?
Yeah, well, for example, with the case of cameras, it's supposed that the cameras must be placed in specific points with the purpose that they record all the uh, how can I say, all the movement of the truck that they record when the driver truck is checking the 18 points. So that's why it is so important to have the cameras obviously working in specific points. But for example, there are other things that is like how they call Hmm, good practices. Good practices is something that is not mandatory, but obviously it's like a plus in the companies. For example, I remember one company in Leon that they have a system called R control, and with that system they put information of the person that they want to contract, and they with the base they analyze their Facebook, their WhatsApp numbers, they analyze everything, and at the end they send you a final report where the program determine if the person that you want to contract it is it's going to be a good element or not, and then it gives you all the files that they found about that person, and well with that you can at the end define if you want to contract that person or not, and that program is not something that is mandatory, but it's a good practice.
Okay, yeah, yeah. There is a manual of good practices in accounting, in architecture, in engineering, and that's a fantastic suggestion, right? What is a good practice? What is a good habit, good custom, something to do? And it can work as a manual and as a recipe, and I believe it's a very, very good suggestion. Then the walkthroughs, when you walk a person through the process, when you walk the company through the process of transactions, uh, what have you seen, Mickey? Probably you want to replicate the process, right? You want to see how it works in practice. And once you check it, you determine if there are any flaws, any weaknesses, any any flaws, right?
Hmm.
I'm sorry, flaws, flaw, a problem that you can
Hmm.
detect. Have you done that? Try to replicate, to simulate something, some operation, and only in the moment determine if there is any issue that you want to find out.
Well, for example, I haven't done yet, but uh, one day they told me that they give. Let me remember. Yeah, they went to a company in Puerto Interior, and well, it's supposed that the security they need to check your car, that they need to check in occasion until your I forgot
The
how you say
trunk,
cajuela,
the trunk,
the trunk.
trunk.
Yeah, they need to check the trunk. If you have a technical, for example, a laptop or a cell phone, they need to put that in a checklist. That, for example, this person has a Lenovo laptop that the model is that. That with the purpose to know that someone is taking a technological device inside of the company. And one day, I have a cousin. She's a girl. She's like 26, 27 years old, and she's so skinny. So she go into the trunk just with the purpose to see if they really check the the trunk in the security process, and no, they don't. So my cousin goes into the company. Now after that, the manager detects that this girl doesn't have the like the badge, because normally in all the companies they give you the badge that identifies that you are a visitor or something like that. And yeah, they mentioned that security didn't check the trunk of the car, and that she was there. And yeah, the other time I remember that someone put another name. Obviously, normally they requires your ID when you go into the company, and someone puts other name, not in the how do you say?
The roster.
Yeah. And after that, they checked that the name it wasn't the same. So, but after that, when we are gonna outside of the company, so in all the time that we were in the company, they didn't realize that the name that we put on that was other name on the registration roster. Yeah.
And you guys did that on purpose, didn't you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, those are great ideas, believe it or not, because
Yeah.
they point out that there is a flaw in the system. Maybe the regulation, the law, the indication, the checkpoint is good, but then the supervision by the guard or the surveillance man is weak, right?
Yeah.
Wow,
Exactly.
that's a great idea. What did they say?
Well, I wasn't there, but they mentioned when they told me that they told me that the person that was in charge of security was so surprised and in a way like um, embarrassed, because how is
Yeah.
that possible that one person goes inside of the trunk and nobody noticed that?
Yeah, I now remember that when I went to the Soviet Union, it wasn't the Soviet Union in 1990. Only
Wow.
1 year later, it collapsed. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed and became Russia, Ukraine,
Gosh. Yeah.
etc., etc. But in 1990, it was still the Soviet Union. And I went
Okay.
there and we got into the airport of Moscow and we had the uniforms of the Mexican team and everything. And the guy was looking at me at the passport, then looked at me, then again at the passport, checking if I was really the man of the passport, checking the photograph.
Yeah.
And obviously it was me. But they made such a detailed analysis that I thought, well, maybe I'm not the one or what. And he did the same with every single person. He checked like if we were from some strange place, and they were soldiers. They were not. They looked like soldiers. They had this green uniform, and they were so thorough and so careful at looking at people that I thought, well, these guys must have had some issues here,
Yeah.
because
Of
it's
course.
not like they take it lightly or just superficially. They do really, really deep analysis, checking the picture against your real face. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, but well, at the end, I think that they must do that. In occasions, they don't see your face; they just receive the ID. Okay, put your name here, and that's all.
Right.
And yeah, that's why those mistakes happen.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and then we have what is called testing of controls. Once you confirm that the controls are performing okay or they are not performing okay, like in these cases, right?
Yeah.
Um, how do you communicate this to the management, to the managers?
Mm, well, as I mentioned, at the end, we sent a final report and we have a final meeting. In that final meeting, we give like grades to each department: cybersecurity, 90%, physical security, 50%. For example, we have doing the procedures of a company that was already certified in CityPath. But
Oh,
for example, something curious that happens here is that normally CityPath don't come physically to Irapuato because Irapuato is like recognized like a danger zone. It's so funny. For
oh,
example, Cuesta del Rio, there's no problem because it's a industrial park. Puerto del Rio doesn't have problem because it's an industrial park too. But for example, if the company or the transport line is located in Irapuato or in Silao, uh, they don't go physically to validate the company. They just do it online. And well, this company are located here in Irapuato, and they put other how to say this, other facility in the city path. There's a word in the website of CityPath.
okay.
So they don't suppose. Well, if we go directly to the rules, that company is established in Irapuato, but they didn't know that. So the CBP was already uh, visiting the company without knowing that the company is located in Irapuato. So at the end, that company doesn't have procedures of nothing, really of nothing. Actually, the validation was yesterday, And at the end, the last 2 months, we were working with them, we were visiting them, we were changing some this. And well, at the end, we sent like the suggestions, but at the end, if they don't do or not, or don't, is a decision of the company. And well, at the end, everything goes great, but it was, oh my God, so stressful because that company was a mess. Obviously, I'm not gonna say the name, but it's here in Irapuato, and it's easy to see. The company when you go to Leon, it's so easy to see.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, I believe that is useful too because that helps the company organize themselves. Sometimes companies are very disorganized, and when there is an audit like these ones that you perform or you carry out, it really helps them out, I guess. And
Yes,
sometimes it's like transforming your life, right? Transforming the life of a company, transforming the procedures, the organization, the way it works, changing the dynamics. I suppose it is like in the case of a person, right? Well, I'm going to start going to bed not at 12 but at 10. Well, those 2 hours totally transform your life, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess must be at the beginning a little bit painful, but eventually it works and it works for the better.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the reason why we give and send suggestions at the end if they want to apply it, whether it's gonna be benefit them. At the end, uh, we already charge for that because obviously we do the audits, we do the different analysis procedures. But if they want to uh, apply that, well, that's their decision.
Very nice. Sounds really, really good. And then I imagine that you do certain analysis of certain procedures, and you use these analytical procedures to compare financial data against expected results. Let's say, well, you're going to make a transaction, you're going to sell this, you're going to issue an invoice, you're going to send the invoice to the client, you're going to collect the money over a period of a week or 2 days or 3 days, etc. The normal or the benchmark is that you have a result or you record your invoices in 1 to 3 days. That is the benchmark, right? The industry benchmark. And then sometimes you check the result of that experiment, and then you determine if that is unexpected variances. Uh, Something that can point to a potential fraud, right? Well, how do you go about that, Mickey? When you try to replicate a specific financial procedure and maybe detect something unsound, something that is possibly putting the company at risk.
Mm, well, I haven't seen like something that is like too risky, for example, in terms of uh, finance or something like that. But something that we always recommend is that they need to know where they are their, how to say this, their suppliers. For example, they need to know where is the supplier located. If the pieces that of the supplier are from other country, okay, you need to see that the supplier that is located, for example, in China or in other country, that they need to avoid money laundering, that they need to avoid uh, how to say kids working, or how there's a word, how to say that, child working. I can't remember.
Child abuse. Well, not
Child,
child
yeah,
abuse. Yeah, in labor, right?
yeah, in labor, in few
Yeah.
words. So we always say that. Actually, we are offering courses of money laundering and all the things that company needs to check, because in occasions there was a case here in Silao. Uh, Obviously, it's not something that I see in first hand, but they told me that one company was located here in Silao. Uh, One of the persons who was in charge of finance was doing money laundering. They say that, for example, they purchase certain amount of material, and at the end they don't. They just send that money to another account that they have in Guadalajara, and they go directly to Guadalajara to retire that money. So in occasions they need to do an analysis of the different departments. Obviously, finance is so important because they know all the money and how the company operates in finance terms. So it is important to see who is working with you, and yeah, in occasions you need to doubt two of the people who's working with you because you don't know at the end if there's like a internal conspiracy or something like that. And yeah, that now, for example, internal conspiracy and money laundering is one of the mandatories of the city path. They put that this year.
Wow,
Yeah,
that is truly interesting, and also is very delicate.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, because then if you determine that there is a person that is laundering money, you don't know how far they go, right? And what other contacts they can have. I mean, it can go somewhere really, really dark, to say the least, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is so, as you mentioned, so delicate, and that's why companies must to pay attention to that because on occasions, yeah, you just focus on that, you do your work, and that's all. But yeah, you need to see and to do like a research that, for example, all the invoices, that all the transactions was really made with the purpose to acquire material, to pay capacitations, whatever, but you need to really check that.
When you find out that there's something wrong, and it probably can go up to the top, because it's very, very difficult that the general manager is not involved. Like, for example, when I was in Siemens, the manager of freight, logistics, and dispatch, they were making quotations for the freight, for the transportation, and they were quoting $90,000. They said, okay, Guanajuato to Eagle Pass, yeah, $90,000. $90,000, 100,000, 95,000. That was the range of the quotations, right?
Hmm.
To bring an equipment that was 160 tons heavy, uh, for 1,500 kilometers. Well, the distance from Guanajuato to Eagle Pass or Laredo, right? And one day, there was a bid in the U.S. when I needed to submit the quotation, and my boss, a Canadian guy, was telling me, "Are you ready with the quotation?" I says, "Yes, I'm ready. All I'm waiting is for the quotation of the transportation of the bid to transport the equipment to the U.S." And the days were coming, and the final day, the deadline was approaching, and the manager of transportation went out to Guatemala to investigate something about the height of the bridges. So he wasn't there, and he was the only one who could give me the quotation of the freight. So his assistants didn't help, and I was calling him. Look, I really need the quotation by in 2 days, no later than that. No, but I'm gonna be there in 3 or 4 more days. I said, well, tell your assistants or whatever. He didn't pay attention to my request, so I got like under the between the sword and the wall, right, as they say.
Hmm.
So what I did is I decided to call myself the company, and I called them. Excuse me, I need a quotation for a transportation of a transformer going from Guanajuato to Eagle Pass. The weight was 160 tons. The dimensions were 7 meters wide, 5 meters tall, and 3.5 meters wide. And this is long, right? 7 meters long, high, and wide. And they say, "Oh yeah, of course, we have had many transformers like that. It's gonna be $42,000." I said, "Well, there must be a mistake because we have quoted all the similar transformers at like that much higher." No, 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 no. That is the cost. 42. We know our job. We know our prices. I went to the general manager and I told him, "Look, Mr. Manager, I got this quotation. I normally get 90 for a similar equipment." I said, "Oh, no, no, don't worry. Give it to me." I talk with the manager when he comes back.
Yeah.
When I came back, one of my friends said to me, "Oh, you're a fool. They are compadres." I said, "No kidding. Yeah, well, that was more or less the end of the story, right? But yeah, they were colluded. The general manager with the manager of dispatch.
Yeah, of course.
But
That's
well,
the.
yeah, that's that's just an anecdote.
It's a good
Oh,
anecdote. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. All right. Well, so we test the transactions then, and then we we notice that there is something wrong, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Sales, purchases, payroll, and we verify that they are accurate, complete, and they adhere to accounting standards. Um, what have you seen that you see? Oh, this is really neat. This is very clear. This is very organized. What have you seen in terms of transactions, Mickey,
Mm,
that surprises you for the cleanliness or detail or organization?
well, for example, yeah, first of all, it's not something that we really get so much involved because at the end, yeah, the person who is in charge of that, they send us like the different files of the transactions. But at the end, you don't know if they really send you all the transactions that they have. At the end, they send you, yeah, this is all the transactions that we have, like starting from this year to this year. And yeah, what we do and what we recommend, what we advise is that okay, you need to check that your suppliers um, must be everything in, they must have everything in order, that they don't have something related to child abuse, something like that. And yeah, but until now, I have seen that all the companies, or that's the perception that they give us, that they have everything in order in terms of finance.
Okay, very nice. And then also there is something called verification of account balances, that you check that the balances are complete, they are existing, and that there is accurate evaluation of the account balances, right? Cash inventory, receivables. Uh, these reconciliations, bank reconciliations, are very typical. I don't know if you guys do that too, or you don't get involved in that too much. And then other confirmations with third parties, and also do physical inspections, like in the warehouse. Sometimes the warehouse also, this company was a master of theft because the scrap, the copper that was scrap, was not accounted for. They didn't put that in the counting system. So there
Mhm.
was tons and tons of copper, steel, oil, and other remainders, leftovers, and they didn't put that in the accounting reconciliation. So that was extra money for the manager.
Yeah.
Um, what have you seen? What do you think of that? Something that you have noticed that is very orderly, organized, and something that maybe is not so much. What have you been able to see?
Hmm. Well, I think that depends too. Something that I have noticed, and obviously the huge difference between a company that is a familiar company and a company that really it's a company that, well, it has all the departments established, all the procedures in order. But for example, when I have seen in familiar companies that, for example, if the daughter wanna spend something, okay, she took the money from there and that's all. So yeah, I'm not saying, and I imagine that there are familiar companies that they have everything in order, but until now I haven't seen one of them.
Oh,
Of those,
really?
yeah, normally those companies and more the transport lines. I imagine that, for example, the transport line, I don't know, started from the grandfather, and then it was growing, growing, growing. But now um
The
the child,
grandsons.
yeah,
Yeah.
they don't know nothing about the operation, and they just spend, 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 spend. So yeah.
Okay. Well, very interesting, and it's obvious that some of those companies are very lightly handled. They're not extremely strict, in the management of operation, even if they go really well, because they are buoyant or they have are more or less profitable, they don't take the care or the caution to make it very sound in terms of procedures,
Yeah.
which is what impedes them from becoming bigger, I suppose.
Hmm.
Um, okay, eventually, Mickey, you do the review of the findings and you do the evaluation, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And okay, what about this? Review the findings, assess the financial statements, and do the reevaluation of risks. These three aspects when you review and evaluate. What have you seen? What has become interesting for you? Um, Something unusual that you have found that you would not expect?
Well, of course, uh, all the companies are different. I have seen good practices in in some companies, in others probably some like improvement areas. When we evaluate the results, as I mentioned, we do like the final report. In that final report, we send the the must and the shoulds of each department. That, okay, you need to establish this, and we give them like the um, like a timeline and the how say end line, how say deadline. I remember
Deadline.
deadline. Yeah. So they need to establish and to apply all the procedures that we mentioned in that specific timeline. And yeah, because at the end we do another audit, like the final audit, and we see and we do that like the comparison between the first one and the last one. And yeah, uh, all with the purpose that when the CVP goes to validate those companies, they have everything in order and they don't have like more issues in the future.
Okay. It looks like a really interesting job. Very interesting set of activities that you are carrying out, and getting involved with people, with companies, with procedures. I believe gives you a lot of expertise, wisdom. You see lots of things. How do you feel about this, Mickey?
Yeah, it is so interesting. Obviously, it was something that uh, I wasn't involved. Uh, Not only in a company, in a job like this before. So yeah, in those last 2 months, I have acquired a lot of experience in terms of understanding how the company works, uh, the strengths and weaknesses too, and yeah, in a way, it makes me like a little bit more. How can I say it? Mm, there's a word. I can be
Proud.
like more grateful about
Okay.
the things that I have done. You know, for example, with my businesses online, because I have seen the experience of people and I have seen it since firsthand, and how the industry works. And obviously, they have so many good things, but they have bad things too, and and yeah, it makes me like be more grateful and yeah, being grateful too of the chance that I have now. Something that I have noticed too is that there's more competence in these terms. So in a way, if Gasback, yeah, Gasback is known because it it has like 10 years more or less working the same field, but in those 10 years there are more competence of people doing the same. Probably not with the same quality because I have seen and I have seen like the results with other companies that in the past they have other people who was in charge of the audits of the validations and yeah, but in a way I think that Gasback must find like um, something that distinguished from the others, not only like the experience because so many people don't know don't know Jet Gasback, but yeah, like be more present. I don't know, for example, in social media, something like that. It's something that I have been thinking about it, and that I want to tell to my aunt because if we want to continue in this in this way. Obviously, everything depends of other external factors. For example, the elections in the United States, mm, the new reforms that they want to establish here in Mexico. There are so many things that obviously affects everything. But yeah, I think that in a way I need to give like a new refresh to the company, and it's something that I've been thinking. And there's other guy that he has like 28 years old. He's obviously a little bit older than me, and I was talking with him, and he noticed the same. So in a way, I want to how can I say, like gives another uh, something that distinguish Gasback in comparison with the other companies that does the same.
Okay, that sounds really, really, really good. How could that be? What could that be? If you think to innovate in a way in a company, in the procedures, in the image, in the obviously the ethics are good, are awesome. What could it be that distinguishes the company from others, that detaches the company? You want to detach yourself from
Yeah,
others. How
yeah.
would you do that?
Mm, well, I think that first of all, and it's something that I have noticed that uh, all the competence uh, is not present on social media. Yeah, probably they have their page, but their page don't overpass the 300 followers, for example. So I don't know. One idea that we have is that this 9/11 we're gonna give a webinar, a free webinar, and with this webinar we want to explain more about the 9/11, how it affects the history, the origins, uh, with the purpose to attract new people that probably don't know Gasback yet. But for example, probably one people that's gonna watch that webinar is from this company, and they say, "Okay, I have seen Gasback talking about this," so they search about their services. So being like more, do like an update of everything, like in terms of technology. I think that it's so important. And yeah, something that it's important too is to offer new services, offering courses of different fields, and not only CityPath, because there are so many companies that are doing the same. Probably, as I mentioned, not with the quality that we normally does, but yeah, and in occasion that person probably charge you less than us, and so in a way we need to do some adjustments that I consider that are important. And it's supposed that I'm gonna be focused on the commercialization of Gasback, and try to acquire new clients. So in a way, obviously, first of all, I need to understand how everything operates. Then I want to focus more on that field to attract new clients.
That's amazing. When you attract new clients in any business, obviously there must be a match, right? There must be a determination, determine their needs, and obviously, how can this be? Make an assessment of your strengths and how. Well, I misspelled these strengths, and then make the match, right? Obviously, it's very easy to say I have these capabilities, or maybe, as you just said, we need to develop additional strengths. We need to increase our portfolio of services,
Yeah.
and this would be this, and this, making these suggestions. That sounds amazing because then you're starting to grow in your capabilities, your strengths, your increase your grow your portfolio, and then offer more services and find the companies that need them. Um, how do you plan to do this, Mickey? How is the process of the marketing process, which is not just a word, right? It's a whole process. Saying marketing seems easy, but it's a whole strategy. How do you plan to do this?
Well, for example, I want to update all the Facebook page because yeah, Mitch is in charge of that. She does all the flyers and stuff. But for example, they are so worried about to create new flyers, but at the end the flyers just have like 3 or 4 likes. So in a way, probably we are spending more time doing those flyers that the impact that the flyers are doing in attract new clients. So probably I will focus on advertisements in the Facebook page. I don't know, for example, I will have like professional pictures of all the members of Gasback. You know that, for example, um, I, I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk bad about the competence, but for example, one time I saw one guy who take picture of their meal in one validation, and it's like, wow, why you're doing that, you know? So like give more uh, like professionalism is correct.
Okay, right.
Yeah. And yeah, be more present in social media, in few words. So
That's yeah.
update everything.
Right.
Interesting.
That's that's important. Well, I when you say you are bad mouthing your competitors, yeah, yeah, it's common practice, right? It's common
Yeah,
practice. Uh,
yeah.
Sometimes it's not so good to do it, and but sometimes you need to tell the truth to your clients, right? Maybe not say the name, but you can say, well, the manufacturers of this detergent or the manufacturers of this meat are putting clenbuterol in it, and that harms your health. So we don't put clenbuterol to our meat, or we don't do this. It's not that you're bad mouthing your competitors, but
It's
you're
just the truth.
saying you're mentioning a malpractice and a good practice that you carry out. So it's I think it's valid as long as you don't put their name in detriment. But well,
Yeah, for example, something related. No, well, it's not related, but it's like the same case. I don't know if you have seen that I'm promoting my new tour to Six Flags. The tour is going to be the 26th of October.
right,
And
yeah.
one guy sent me a message yesterday, and he told me that he saw another tour that cost like, it was like 100 pesos less.
Yes.
And I know that tour because obviously when you are promoting, when you are watching the different uh, Facebook pages that are related, for example, to tours, something like that, the algorithm detects that you're interested in that. And probably I'm not interested in new tours, but I'm, yeah, watching the competence, seeing if they add like a new promo, and in a way to be like um, one pass before them. So I know of which tour he was talking about it. And one time, the last year, I went with him in a tour to Talpujawa, and the bus was an old bus. It wasn't probably the worst bus that I have ever been, but it was a bus that probably costs less than the bus that I have. And I don't see the name. Okay. Normally the cost of the tours is depending of the bus that they have. And I send the pictures of my bus. My bus is a 2022 model, and it has like LED lights and all stuff,
Right.
TVs on the inside of the bus. And it was like, well, the cost that I have is for this because I invest in the first in the tranquility of the people, and that they feel comfortable in all the how to say traject, in all the,
In the tour in the journey.
yeah, in the journey, exactly. And yeah, at the end I convinced him without saying the name of the other guy, but
Exactly, exactly.
yeah, 115 pesos for comfortability. I will pay more than that.
Exactly, exactly. That's a good point. A good point and good strategy. Very nice, Mickey. Well, congratulations on these activities that you're doing. They look really, really nice, really interesting, and very complete.
Thank you, teacher. Yeah, well, we're Yes, I'm still learning, and I know that I have so many things to learn. But yeah, I feel I like the all the procedures and everything related to that. So yeah, been interesting to the work.
Very nice, Mickey. Well, excellent. Congratulations. Keep on. Continue with a good job, with work, and see
Thank
you
you, teacher.
soon. Maybe we do another session this week if possible. Let's see.
Yes, sure. Let's check it. Probably I can. I don't know if tomorrow in the afternoon, if you wish, I can send you a message because this week I'll go to Mexico City. I don't know if it was a good idea, but it was a plan that I have with my friends since 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Um, I have seen that there are so many manifestations. I don't know what's gonna happen, but yeah, we have our Airbnb, and we already did the investment to that. So this week I'll be in Mexico City, and well, we didn't notice that it's the 15 and 16 of September. So
That's
let's see how it goes, teacher. I'll tell you later.
All right, very good, Mickey. Yeah, let me know, please. Well, we communicate each other with each other, and so we send a message to see our availability. Okay.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Take
Mickey.
care
Take
and
care.
have an
Good talking
excellent
to
day.
you, and see you soon.